we have calculated the effective width of the slab for axial 1, right? So the next step in the check for shear is to calculate the effective width of the slab for axial 2. For axial 2, it is the same repetition of axial 1. Axial 1 is at a distance of x1. Axial 2 is at a distance of x2 from the support. So now we have to calculate x2 and the effective width of the second axial. So instead of x1, same calculations, it's a repetition work. Okay, so same like x1 we have calculated, now we have to calculate x2. Okay, so I'll use the same workout, same working, same write-up. I'm going to use it again for second axial. See here, this is x2 from near support to here, right? So this is equal to the distance between the center to center is 1.2. 1.2 plus x1 will give me the x2. 1.2 plus x1. I repeat, x2 is equal to, you can see here, x2 is equal to 1.2 meters, that is the distance between the two axials, plus x1. Same support we should consider. Okay, so x2 is equal to 1.2 plus x1. So 1.2 plus x1 is already we have calculated, it was 0.78. 0.78. So this comes out to be 1.98. So wherever x1 is there, formula holds good. So now we are calculating the effective width for second axial. So earlier we calculated for first axial. So wherever x1 is there, we are just replacing it by x2. Okay. So now this all remains same. We need not calculate it again. Fine. So we need not check this also. So directly we can just place in place of x1, x2. Okay. So this is also not required because already we know that it is exceeding. So BE2 is equal to 2.772 into x2. I'm just substituting the things in the formula. 2.772 into x2. x2 is 1.98. Fine. Okay. Into 1 minus x2 by L. x2 by L. L is the effective span. That is 5.86. Same. It was for x1 for first axial. Now I am doing it for this one. Plus you need not do this 0.65 now. You can directly take the effective width. That is 5.67. Okay, because anyhow if I take for a single tire, it is going to exceed the 1.8 meters distance. That is why I am just directly taking, because already we did all those calculations for axial 1. So we need not do it again. We need not say that this is more than this. We need not tell it. Directly I can take BW for 4 wheels together. That is 5.67. How we calculated, we already know it. So taking use of that one, I will get the effective width for second axial. Okay. So that comes out to be, when I calculate this, that comes out to be B effective second will come out to be, it is 9.304 meters. 9.304 meters, which is more. So we have to modify it. You can see it here, right? So this is, we have to modify the value because it is exceeding the carriageway width. So when we modify it, it comes out to be, the modification already for the first axial is there on the board. So same I am taking it for second one, plus 3.51. What is 3.51? It is center to center carriageway width, right? So this comes out to be 8.16 meters. 8.16 meters. Okay, again this is more than 8 meters because you know the total carriageway width we have taken including the curb was 8 meters. So this is more than 8 meters. So effective width cannot be more than the total carriageway. So I am restricting it to 8 meters. Okay, because here it was not exceeding, we have taken the effective width of dispersion for the first axial as 7.282 meters, for the second one it is 8 meters. So we got the effective width of the slab. The effective width of the slab, the meaning of it is that the load, the axial load which is getting distributed over some over some width. Okay, so that effective width we are calculating for first axial and second axial. Fine. So coming back to the same figure, see here, this is two axials, 1, 2. So this is coming on the slab. If I take the cross section like this, okay, I will get the cross section of the deck slab. Fine. So two axials are there here, two axials are there here with these x1 and x2 distances and BE1 and BE2 effective widths. So that figure we are supposed to draw it now. Okay. So now I'll just stop this part. The section which I have drawn just now. So first one was to calculate the effective width of the slab for axial 2, axial 1. Second one is to calculate the effective width of the slab for axial 2. Fine. So third is impact factor. Impact factor, same what we have earlier calculated using the formula given in IRC, that is 4.5 by impact factor is equal to 4.5 by 6 plus L, if you remember. Okay, I got that impact factor as 0.367. I need not repeat it. What is that? Already we have done this, same value I am taking out. Okay, so next will be calculations of the loads, effective values of the loads. These two axials load on the slab, these two axials load on the slab. So that is your fourth step in the check for shear. Okay, so here it is effective value of axial loads. So there are two axials, 1, 1. So this will come as a point load, concentrated load here, and these two axials will come as a concentrated load here. So I have to draw a section cutting these two, then you will understand it in a better way. So let us see how to calculate the axial load. So what I am going to do is I am going to calculate the effective value of axial load. So first it is, again I can say first axial. So if I consider this as first axial and this as second axial. So first axial is equal to, there are two axials here. So in this there are two. So 2. If it's a 3-way rod, 3. If it's a 4-way rod, 4. So 2 into axial load is 114 kilonewton. So we are finding the shear force due to wheel load as well as due to impact load. Okay. So this is wheel load. Impact load is 0.367 times of the wheel load. Right. So what I will do is, instead of calculating it separately, I will just make it 1.36 times of the live load. You know, whatever live load is there, that plus 0.367, that is impact factor of the live load, will give me the total live load. Fine. So that is why instead of doing it separately, I am just increasing the live load by 1.367 to take care of the impact, divided by BE1, because this is first axial, BE1. So 2 into 114 into 1.367. So this shear force which I am going to calculate is shear force due to wheel load, that is live load, plus impact load, divided by BE1. We got it as 7.282. So this is coming out to be 43.18 kilonewton. 43.18 kilonewton. The same way second axial. Okay, second axial here is this one. Okay, so that is equal to 2 into 114 into impact factor consideration divided by BE2. So that comes out to be 2 into 114 into 1.367 by 8. So that's coming 39.30 kilonewton. So these are the loads, effective values of axial loads. Okay, so this is how, just see at the figure. You can see at the figure, these two axial load is 43.18 kilonewton. So this will come like this. Okay, I am just drawing one rough figure. This is one support, this is a slab, this is another support, this is the thickness of slab including the wearing cord. If I draw wearing cord, so this load is coming 39.30 and this load is coming 43.18. So this figure we have to draw to get, and the effective span is 5.86. This effective span is 5.86. So with that diagram we can find out the shear force, maximum shear force due to live load and wheel load. So this figure, because I am showing it in vertical way, I will just rotate it in the horizontal. Okay. So all of you are very well aware with those figures. So it will be better if I draw it according to the convention. Fine. So this is our first support. Then this is the deck slab. This is the second support. Okay. Now this center load is at a distance of x1. x1 was 0.786 meters. So at a distance of 7.86 meters. Okay, I'll just show the thickness also for you. This is the deck slab thickness, capital D, and this is the wearing cord thickness, small h. Fine. So on this, at a distance of 0.786 meters or 786 mm, you will have a first axial load. This is the first axial load, which is equal to 43.18 kilonewton. Then again, at a distance of 1.2 meter from here, at a distance of 1.2 meter, that is 1200 mm, you will get second axial, whose value is 39.30 kilonewton. So this is 5.86 meters. 5.86 meters. Now if I name them, if I label them like this is reaction RA, this is reaction RB, or you can say VA, VB. So out of 5.86, 0.786 has gone here, 1.2 has gone here, so the remaining leftover is 3.88 meters. 3.88 meters. So this is how your free body diagram is ready. Now you can find out the shear force. So with your basic knowledge of your earlier subjects, you can say, because this load is heavier, obviously RA will be more, shear force at support A will be more than the shear force at support B. So we have to calculate the maximum shear force. So you know, because it's a free body diagram and taking the principle of moments, that is sigma MA is equal to 0, we will find out sigma MB, moments about B is equal to 0 if I do it, moments about B is equal to 0 if I do it, RA into 5.86 is equal to 43.18 into 1.2 plus 3.88. Okay, plus 39.30 into 3.8 meters. So with this, from this you get the support reaction. Okay, the support reaction has come to be 63.45 kilonewton. Okay, so if you see, or from RA value only, you can say RB will be lesser than this one. If you want, you can calculate, otherwise there is no note, because we are going to find out the value for maximum, we are going to check for maximum shear force. So if you see RA and RB, RA is maximum because the wheel is nearer to the support A. So this is the value of shear force, maximum shear force due to live load and impact load. Now you can write VA or RA. Now also this is, if you want, I'll write just say maximum shear force due to wheel load plus impact load. This was the 63.4. Now I also want maximum shear force due to dead load. Okay, so that if I write it as RDL, dead load, this is live load plus impact load. Okay, so that is equal to the WD into L effective by 2, because WL by 2 is the shear force formula. So W should be the dead load. W should be the dead load one. So if you remember my values which I have calculated in the earlier for calculation of maximum bending moment, I have found the total dead load as total dead load was 11.65. Okay, 11.65 if you remember that value. So it's 11.65 into effective span is 5.86 by 2. So that comes out to be the shear force due to dead load. You can represent it by R or you can represent it by V. So this comes out to be 34.13 kilonewton. So total shear force due to dead load, like we have calculated total bending moment, design bending moment, here also we will get total shear force due to dead load plus wheel load plus impact load. So that if I calculate it here, total shear force V is equal to RLL plus impact load plus due to dead load. So I have the value of 63.45 plus dead load one is 34.13. Okay, sum it up, we get the total shear force as 97.58 kilonewton. So this is the shear force. So how we have calculated bending moment? Now we have calculated the shear force. So from shear force we get the shear stress. All of you are very well aware how to calculate shear stress and how to check it. Okay. So now once we get shear force, shear stress is equal to, that is a nominal shear stress, we represent it by tau V is equal to V by BD. Okay, so tau V is equal to, V is 97.58 kilonewton, we have to convert it into Newton, so multiply with 10 to the power of 3 by D is for 1 meter slab we calculate, D is 360 mm. So this comes out to be 0.271 Newton per mm square. This shall not be more than the tau C value. Yes, all of you remember, you have done it already in Bean's designs and all. So tau V, there is a nominal shear stress coming in the member, and tau C is the permissible shear stress. So that you will obtain from IS 456 for the limit state designs. But here in the bridges, we have an exclusively code, that is IRC 21. Okay, which will give you the design specifications. So permissible stress is given in IRC 21 2000 in table number 12A and 12B. Okay, so this is a slab. Slab is a member which will not be subjected to shear mostly, right? So it means we won't design the slab for shear reinforcement. So we have to check the table 12B, because that will give you the value of permissible shear stresses for the members without shear reinforcement. Beams may will have shear reinforcement, but in slabs it's a member which will not be there, shear reinforcement will not be there. So we have to calculate permissible shear stress, tau C. Permissible shear stress, tau C. This from IRC 21 2000 table 12B you have to refer. Okay, it's similar to what we have seen in IS 456. Okay, fine. So all of you have to refer it to the 12B table. So tau C depends on, similar to what you know, tau C depends on percentage of steel, PT, and grade of concrete. So we have to calculate the grade of concrete, we have to calculate the percentage of steel, and you have a table which will give you the value of permissible stresses based on the percentage of steel and the grade of concrete. Okay, so that we will do it now. No, permissible stresses, permissible shear stress depends on percentage of steel. So how to calculate the percentage of steel? You have a formula, AST by AS by BD. Okay, AST by BD into 100. Okay, Now what is this area of steel? It's not the total area of steel which you have to consider, because shear stress is maximum near the support. Okay, so generally we do bars bending, alternate bars are bended. That means 50% of the steel will be near the support, not the entire steel. Near the support 50% will steel will go, because alternate bars will be bent. So we have to take whatever area of steel we got in the design section, in the design step. So from that we have to take 50% of the steel, because alternate bars will be bent up. So you can write, since alternate bars are bent, okay, near the support are bent up, since alternate bars are bent up near the support. So let us calculate how much steel comes at the support. Obviously it is half of the total steel, but you have, if you remember, whatever area of steel we got, spacing was something like 139 point something, which I made it to 130 mm center to center. So based on that, when you decrease the spacing, obviously the steel will increase. So let us calculate the area of steel near the support. How we calculate? If you remember the formula, spacing is equal to small AST by capital AST into 100. Right? So this we will take this side. I am going to calculate nu S, area of steel near the support. Okay, let me represent it by A suffix X, S. Okay, so that is equal to 20 mm bar, alternate bars of 20 mm dia. That is the main steel. Okay, so 20 square by 4 into 100. In the denominator this S will come. SV was 140 mm, because half the bars are there. So we have to, spacing of the alternate bar will be 280 mm. So if you take the main in the mid span, it will be 140 mm center to center. So near the support, alternate bars are bending. So the bent up bars are at 140 into 2. Okay, so that comes out to be 1121 mm square. So with this steel, I'll calculate the percentage quickly. So 1121 by 1000 into 360 into 100. Okay, so that's coming out as 0.311 percentage, and our grade of concrete is M25. So now you have to refer table 12 of IRC 21, table 12B. There are this 12, 12A, 12B giving different values. So from 12A, I'll just show you like this, percentage of steel, tau C. So for 0.25% of steel, okay, we have tau C in the table as 0.23. Then next value given is 0.5% of steel, the permissible stress is 0.31. So our value percentage is 0.311. So this is how much we have to calculate. So already I told you how to calculate this, that is called as interpolation. So doing interpolation, all of you know it, how to do it, but still I will show you. You can just follow to do the calculation quickly. So tau C for 0.311% is equal to, so what I said is, yes, take the upper value 0.23, as it is increasing from top to bottom. So the symbol you have to use here is plus. Okay, the difference 0.31 minus 0.23 divided by this difference 0.5 minus 0.25 into our difference, that is 0.31 minus 0.25. So on doing this, I am getting tau C, that is permissible stress, that is permissible in the concrete, as 0.25. This is 0.23, this is 0.02. So on adding up, this is coming as 0.25 Newton per mm square. Our tau V was 0.271. Permissible is 0.25. So tau V means what it is coming in the member is more than tau C, more than permissible. Permissible, the name itself is suggesting that it should not be more than that, but we are exceeding by little amount. Tau V was 0.271. this is 0.25. So what you can do is you can increase the percentage of steel or you can increase the thickness. Okay, so increase the thickness of slab, increase the thickness of slab to, our small d was 360 mm, now I am making it as 420 mm. Okay, then total will be 420 plus 30, 450 mm. So this will take care of the shear stress. So if you increase the thickness, it will be safe in shear. So with this I have completed a problem on the design of deck slab subjected to class A loading. Okay, now if you want for class AA tracked or wheeled, you just put it in the comment box, because so many parts I have done, it's taking a long time. So if you are really interested in solving a problem for class AA loading, that is tracked vehicle, then you can just put in the comment box. Okay, thank you.